Okay, conceptualization of design of interactions would be start at a higher level and provide some inspiration maybe in the environment or any other sources of inspiration for design where people normally act or interact with. So we start here with conceptual models. Conceptual models define as a high level description of how a system is organized and operates. It provides a working strategy and a framework of general concepts and their interrelations. It's easy for us to conceptualize something as, for example, if we are thinking of describing the Earth, for instance, we conceptualize it in a small thing such as an orange, where it's not really a perfect circle, but it's something like the outside of us an orange. So and we can also conceptualize interactions through other concepts by using metaphors and analogies, and through other concepts where an individual can relate into. So when we think of design for something, we think of an existing uh, thing or concept where the user or the potential user is already aware of. So for example, the desktop computer has been designed in relation to the office work of an individual, where the desktop is actually pertains to the desktop or the table of or the table of a certain person in an office. So that's an easy analogy or our conceptual modeling of how the design might look like. And in fact, we represent my computer as a small computer. And since an office normally has a folder, so we arrange or draw a certain folder, which is also equivalent to our current setup in that office. That's how we conceptualize certain design in creating later in developing designs for the future or for a certain technology. We consider some conceptual models as our strategy to be able to design where our existing user can relate into. In fact, we use existing concept where the user can actually relate into, so that they can easily adapt on how to use our system. So the core components are as follows in conceptual designing. Normally, we use metaphors and analogies that convey to people how to understand what a product is used for and how to use it for an activity, for example, browsing and bookmarking, which are already an existing practice of the user. And we introduce a certain technology to check this browser activity, and we create something that would make that person bookmark something, for instance, in a browser instead of in a book. So it's a similar concept that is used in the new technology, but the existing practice. So we try to create concepts in designing technology in that way, rather than creating totally a new concept where the user would have difficulty grasping the idea. So the concept on which people are exposed through the product, including the task, domain, obtain, decreate, and manipulate, their attributes and the operation that can be performed in them, such as saving, revisiting, and organizing. So these are existing concepts in the office. Where we translate it into the computer, we are now looking at our screen as a desktop. And later we have the relationship between this concept, for instance, whether one object contains another. So for example, our folder contains files, which is the same organization, how the computer is being organized and conceptualized, how the interface of the computer is being conceptualized. So actually, it all started with the conceptual model of idea, where your expected user can relate into through analogies and metaphors. No? Um, so, for example, here, the best conceptual models are often those that appear obvious and simple. That is, the operations they support are intuitive to use. So, so that means we tend to use existing designs or terms used by a potential user, so that it's not hard for them um, to relate to or to identify the specific functions that you are going to introduce. For example, if you are to design here in this example, the first page of a design concept for an ambient display. So let me take follow the light, the white lights, a trail of lights at the point of decision making. So I think this is a design concept on how to encourage people to use the stairs or walk rather than and the elevator. So they provided, if I'm not mistaken, this is a design where they provide ambient lights to or display the to the pathway where they lead into the stairs rather than going into the elevator. The problem here is we want to encourage people to use the elevator, so we provide some guidance that will entice people to use the stairs rather than going into the elevator directly by providing some lights, interesting lights here or neon lights. So this is a concept. This is an existing concept, a drawing of existing concepts, so that people can might rethink of using the elevator, but instead looking at following the lights for them to that will encourage them to walk instead of just using the elevator. And that one way of integrating design into the problem of encouraging people to use stairs, although it doesn't address everyone's problem, but it provides an intuitive way to use the stairs rather than the normal one, which discourages, maybe don't have any changes. But this is a concept, a very simple illustration that we can have a simple concept that can be used, that will be where we don't have yet the technology that will be used, but the interaction, we're already thinking of how it will look like in the existing building.